Hello. Hi. I sound a little different, don't I? I don't know what I sound like. I mean, I have a... You know, I should probably turn the gain down. I need to have, like, my monitor up here real quick for a while. I should probably have this out for a while because... You know, it happened last time I got a new mic. It sounds great, though. Like, I did test it a little bit. Like, I just did some recordings of it to see how it sounds. Yeah, my mic is, like, way too loud for where I'm normally talking. My problem is that, when I do tests like that, I'm always, like, really nervous. Because, like, I don't know. I guess I feel, like, slightly more normal when I know I'm, like, talking to the stream, even if I'm not talking to anybody directly. It's like I don't know, you know? Maybe not. Maybe it's just me. But, yeah, whenever I'm doing, like, audio tests before the stream, I'm just like, hey, hi, guy, hey, hello, hello, audio test, hi. And it's, like, a solid 20 decibels lower than my normal talking voice. So as soon as I jumped into stream, I was like, no. My gain is way too high. But yeah, cool. I got a real microphone. I, for my entire life, have lived on, like, shitty USB condenser mics. And, well, okay, that's not even true. For the majority of my life, I lived my entire existence using shitty webcam mics. And, you know... Unfortunately for, like, literally everyone who has to listen to me on a regular basis, like, my girlfriend, for example, I don't give her the luxury of listening to a real microphone because I'm too lazy to, like, get my mic set up and everything. Even when I just had the USB condenser mic, I was like, nah. Because, like, we do a lot of, we watch a lot of things through screen share, because that's, like, you know, a thing that long distance couples do, I guess. I don't know. Maybe we're weird. I don't think we're weird, though. I mean, we are weird, but, you know. Anyways, yeah, I can't have... like, if I'm using a real microphone, I can't have the ghetto sketch setup of having the audio from whatever we're watching together feeding through the webcam microphone. Because that's how we do it. So there is a purpose to that. But it means that, yeah, for the majority, even when I do have a good sounding microphone, most people I'm talking to off of stream don't get to hear. I did flex to Jacob, my friend, who is also the guy who did the music for Chroma Blast and Bounty Below, and probably future games as well, because, you know, he's a cool guy and I like working with him. Yeah, I flexed to him because he's had, like, a, you know, I guess I should start my arbitrary timer. He's got, like, a relatively professional audio setup because he, you know, records music. So he kind of needs an audio interface, or needed an audio interface way before I did. So yeah, it makes sense that he would just have an XLR microphone, because if you already got an audio interface, then why not, right? So his audio quality has always been, like, incredibly good compared to mine. So I finally got the opportunity to flex a little bit and be like, hey Jacob, you know, we can't exactly hear each other's real voice in person, not only because of COVID, but because he lives in fucking Australia. So that would be a little bit hard for me to shout that loud. I finally got to show him. I finally got to show him what I sound like. Not on a crackly, like, 12 hertz. 12 hertz webcam microphone. Alright. So yeah, anyways, I got a good mic. There are some things that I did on the OBS side of things that I'd never done with my previous mic. I'll talk about what's going on the screen at some point. I didn't... Okay. I know I'm like a dumbass, but I didn't realize that that OBS by default had like audio filters that you can put. So I also experimented with that, and I don't know how it sounds. I mean, I do know a little bit because, like I said, I did the audio tests, but as I also mentioned, my audio tests aren't super accurate to what it's actually going to sound like when I'm streaming. So hopefully I put a expander to act as like, you know, a basically noise suppression, because I do have 2 fans going in my room because I, you know, live in Texas. Kind of need some air momentum to feel any level of cool. And I also added a compressor. And I know that software level compressors are typically not that great, but you know, it's probably better than nothing, because, like, if I just had my unfiltered voice via XLR microphone, the analog signal would probably get real fucking crunchy if I get really loud, and I, you know, have a tendency to get a little loud. So we'll see how the audio compression sounds, if I do any screaming. I'll try and avoid doing screaming, but sometimes I can't help myself. So yeah, I think that's all I need to talk about with the microphone. Next on the docket, I should probably talk about why I was gone for like a few days. Like the the real side of it is just like I kind of had, I'm just gonna get rid of the last of my ruins. I kind of had not so great of a week. I don't know. I was just feeling pretty down for the entirety of last week. Hopefully it didn't come across too obvious on the streams. I know there weren't that many streams last week, but I only did 2, right? So maybe I did 3, I don't remember. But I definitely didn't do that many streams, which I feel a little bit bad about. But also, like, when I'm feeling that bad and that apprehensive towards streaming in the first place, it's like I know I'm gonna put on a shitty show anyways. So I decided to let it ride for a little bit, and I think that was the better decision, because, like, I felt really bad at the end of Wednesday's stream, I think was the last one I did. Like, I felt so bad after that stream, because, like, I was already, like I said, apprehensive before starting the stream, and I felt like everything just went really poorly. I mean, I kind of joked at the end of the stream, like, ha, see me never. But then there's, like, a little bit of, a bit of realness to that joke, where I was kind of, like, feeling, why am I streaming, you know? Like, why did I stream today? Why do I stream at all? I was feeling pretty bad. But I'm feeling better now. I'm not sure if you can tell. Which is surprising, because I'm on, like, I don't know, 4 hours of sleep, and I woke up at, like, 5 a.m. today. I also, in the absence, tried to normalize my sleep schedule a little bit, and it's kind of worked. Like, waking up at 5 a.m. is not great, but it's closer to normal than anything I've had for a little bit. Because I hate, like, my schedule has been, like, waking up a few hours before I normally start stream, eating, streaming. Depending on if it's too windy in Washington, I may or may not even get any time to spend with my girlfriend. And then after I spend time with my girlfriend, working on my game for longer than I should, and that's like the early AMs. It's like usually, it had been like 5 to 6 a.m. when I was trying to go to bed. It's just like miserable when you're trying to go to bed and it's bright outside. Like, your brain doesn't want you to sleep when it's bright outside. Oh, finally got picky, dude. I've been waiting for so long to get picky. Picky is one of the most important. It's not the most important, but if you want to keep going as the rogue, I think is the name of the character, you kind of need to get picky. You don't need to, but like, if you want to be more idle, which I like to be more idle whenever possible, you're going to want picky, because picky, like, you see that the level of gear that I've been getting is like, I mean, it's like 20 levels above the current loop that I'm on, Picky really sends that further beyond, so that, like, basically everything you're getting when you finish a loop is, like, 20 and above. And I don't know what it is. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about the game. I'll get back to the game in a bit, but I'm just happy I got Picky. Let's just leave it at that. Cool. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really that bad for me, the Texas stuff. I've talked way too much about the Texas stuff, but yeah, it sucks if it's still snowing in your area and you're not used to the snow, for sure. But if you are used to the snow, then whatever, you can handle it. So long as your entire power grid doesn't go out for weeks, I think you'll probably be okay. What was I saying though? I was talking about yeah, just not streaming for a few days. It's Colorado. Yeah, there you go. You're fine. You're fine. Also, hey Zam, how's it going? How do I sound? How's the mic? Now that I have someone here to actually get a good scope of the sound of the microphone. Is it good? Hopefully. Because, I mean, sounds good? Nice. I mean, I didn't pay, like... It wasn't extremely expensive. But it was, like... You know, it was, like, a big purchase for me. It's not like me buying my car. It's not, like, a huge purchase, but... It was a fairly large purchase that I was like, do I really... And even when I brought it up to my girlfriend, she was like, do you really need this? And I was like, well... No, I guess I don't really need it, but it's on sale for, like, over half off. And it was on sale for, like, over half off. The microphone I got is an AT2020 Audio-Technica, and the interface I got was a Focusrite. And the Focusrite, I'm not 100% sure on the model of it, because, like, I think the one that most people use... It's got a weird, like, specific technical name that's, like, an abbreviation for the inputs on it. It's like 2TI or 2I something. I don't remember, but that's not the one I got. When looking for a good, like, entry-level audio interface, that was the one that was most recommended. But then there was a cheaper version of it with only one audio input, and I was like, well, I'm only using it for a microphone, so... I have no use for the second audio input that the one that was recommended has. So I got the cheaper one, and it's working fine, and it's, you know, I'm pretty sure, like, hardware-wise, it's the exact same specification as the 2-input one, but it only has one input, which is perfect for me. And it was also on sale, which is great. But the mic, yeah, the mic was only like $90. Or a little bit lower than that even. I can't remember. And I think the audio interface was about the same. Where normally the full package would have been like 300 something. So I you know, I guess, okay, when I put it that way, it wasn't exactly half off. But the items individually were close enough to half off that I'm like, yeah, that's a steal. And it kind of was. It's still, like, a good deal, and hopefully the quality is worth it. But, yeah, I definitely wouldn't have jumped for the purchase without the sale. So, there is a method to my madness. I should probably, like, equip some things. I'm trying to, like, do the whole not pay attention to the game at all thing, which is mostly working. But sometimes... I see my health get a little bit lower than I want it to, and I actually have to pay attention. Just like, yeah, sure, just like replace it. The low damage one that doesn't have damage to all. Go ahead. That's probably fine. I don't know if there's that much more I should say about the absence. It's basically like, you know, I took a few days off. I did have a moment where I was just like, I wasn't ever going to actually quit streaming, but in that moment, right when I ended that stream, I was really just like, oh god, What a horrible show. Even though I don't even think the show was that bad. Like, I always blow things out of proportions, for sure. There is that side of my anxiety that I still have, but, yeah, it was probably fine. Like, it's not like I go back and watch my VODs. I see snippets of it, when I'm editing it for YouTube. Or, like, you know, not really editing, but just cutting it into VOD segments for YouTube. And the parts that I saw, I was like, you know, I had a decent attitude throughout the stream at the very least, so I don't think it was too bad. But, yeah, okay, now I'll talk about the game, because I know this is like an extreme departure from where I last played Loop Hero. I made the decision that I didn't think that Loop Hero was a very good fit for my stream. And I think that's a big portion of why I felt so bad after the Wednesday stream. I mean, a lot of it was also the Sporkle segment, not really feeling that great. Like, hopefully there is some enjoyment in the Sporkle section. And, like, I don't know what's wrong with my brain, because, like, that stream as a whole, like, numbers-wise, is one of the better streams I've done recently. So you would think that that would trigger something in my brain and be like, oh, so it was a good stream. But it just made me feel worse when I saw there was actually, like, a decent amount of people watching. I was just like, oh, no. Like, I already felt bad about the stream, and now I know that people were witnessing the bad stream. It was just, like, kind of doubling down on the not-so-good feeling. But it was probably fine. Yeah, I don't know. Sporkle segment was definitely mixed, but, I think the Loop Hero was as good as any of the other Loop Hero segments. I just think that Loop Hero's not that great of a fit for me. And I don't know, it's kind of hard to... It's like, if you weren't on the cutting edge of Loop Hero, like if you weren't streaming hours and hours and hours and hours of it every day, so that you were the meta, it just feels like anybody coming into a Loop Hero stream expects you to have that meta, and I guess I should have expected it, because I did, you know, I was talking about how the game, like, really took off, which is still, like, just an extreme positive, because I have very little bad to say about the game, so its huge success is just, like, a feel-good story. I do have, like, minor gripes that I'll get into a little bit here, but for the most part, the game is amazing, and, completely makes sense why it was such a hit. But there are some negative oh, I guess I still have ruins that I didn't notice. I'll get rid of it. I don't think the ruins are that great. I'll talk about my strategy in a bit as well. But yeah, that is like a slight negative side effect of a game immediately being like a kind of like a big deal on Twitch for a little bit, is that if you aren't making the meta, you are expected to, at the very least, know the meta. Even if the meta, like, isn't established, and even if what most people think is the meta is not actually good at all, people are still going to come in here with, you know, what they saw other streamers do, whether they've played the game or not, and this happened. And, you know, tell you everything you're doing wrong, even if they're literally feeding you even wronger information. Which, I don't know, I can deal with it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I know people are just excited, and this is why I hate people who are, like, super anti-backseaty. It's like, I know people are just excited about the game and think the game is cool and want to talk about the game and want to share what they know, and that's just, like, a whole thing, right? It's just, like, human nature. If you know something and you think it'll be helpful, you just want to be the helpful guy. Whether or not it's actually helpful, it's just like something in your psyche that's like, what I'm doing is right. And also, to some degree, it's kind of just like flexing how much you know about the game, again, whether it's right or wrong. So it's just expected. Like, you see that coming miles away when you're playing a game that's like, you know, very solvable. Like, there is a solution, there is a strict right answer in pretty much every situation when it comes to Loop Hero. Like, there is a always correct way to equip your loot. There is an always correct way when selecting the cards for your deck. There is an always right way for how to place them on the field. It's a solvable game. When you have a solvable game with like a fairly easy meta to understand, I mean, you know, you can mix it up a bit and do things that are not super good for you, but still succeed. Like, I was succeeding for a decent amount of time using Blood Groves, but Blood Groves are like a horrible, horrible card. Like, do not use Blood Groves. I know I'm now the meta guy. I'm the guy who's like, here's the strategy. But Blood Groves are horrible. You still can use them. It's just like they're so fucking dangerous. Like, the Flesh Golems, even I would say Chapter 2 and beyond are too dangerous, because I think Chapter 2, like, the very first modifier that gets placed on Flesh Golems is they are guaranteed to do one attack, even if they're killed. Which, yeah, sure, if you have 75 evasion, then why do you need to care? But, like, 25% of the time, you're still getting hit, and Flesh Golems hit, like, an absolute fucking truck. Like, I'm not saying they would, like, demolish thousands of my HP here, but if you have multiple Flesh Golems going around because you placed multiple Blood Groves, you're gonna have a really bad time. Blood Groves just aren't super good. That's my experience. Maybe other people have different experience, but yeah, the loot is good, but like there's such a better like loot card that also gives you like a way better like stat bonus than Blood Grove does, and that's the I forget the name of the card because I haven't used it in a bit, but the Armory also gives you like, I would say equal to, if not better, quality gear than the Flesh Golems, and way less dangerous to fight. Like, significantly, like, the Armory guys are, like, easier to fight than most other enemies in the game. And on top of that, they give you incredibly good items. And also a buff for, I mean, it does, like, steal garbage equipment that you're never going to use, but it gives you a buff for maximum 30 hits that make each of those hits have 20% less damage towards you, which is pretty good. It's just like 20% damage reduction for 30 hits. Not bad. But yeah, anyways, strategy aside, I expected it. So I don't know. I guess that's not the only reason I thought it... Like, it's not the people in my chat that were the main reason. It's just like, me as a streamer, I feel kind of weird in that position. Like, it's even if the chat isn't that bad, because I don't really think that my chat was that bad, it just feels weird to be the guy who's like one of the, and I, you know, there's hundreds of people who are streaming Loop Hero. I'm definitely not the only guy, but to be one of the guys who is not in the meta, and also probably one of the few guys who is not super anal about, yeah, I'll wear that. No, why would I say I'll wear that? That's just, like, worse in basically every way. Yeah, no thank you. I can't believe I almost did that. That's what you get when you're not really paying attention to the equipment. But when you're one of the guys who's not super anal about, backseating. Like, I'm not going to be super, you know, moderation heavy on that kind of thing. I'm not going to be super strict about it. There were moments where I was like, yeah, don't just read me Wikipedia articles, because that's kind of weird. But, you know, outside of just, like, feeding me redundant knowledge that's not even helpful to me in the moment, I'm usually fine with backseating. Like, I don't want people to just come in here and tell me, like, everything about the game and what to do in every single circumstance, which happened a little bit during some of my Monster Train streams. That's pretty annoying. But, in general, if someone's just like, yeah, I don't know, I don't think the Blood Grove card's that good, I would be like, oh, okay, cool, good to know. I agree now. Though, I don't know, the general consensus when I was streaming seemed to be that Blood Grove is pretty good, which I very much disagree with now. But I didn't know. I didn't know at the time. And that's another thing. It's like, I did all right with it at the start of Loop Hero, because Loop Hero is, like, it's not a grindy game. You can do very, very well on your first runs, for sure, and you can get, like, significant benefits. You could probably kill, what is it? The Lich is, like, Omicron or something? You could kill him the first time you go on an expedition, probably. Like, it's not that bad. But you just don't know the strategy, right? And it takes a few runs to learn the strategy. But I got to a point, especially in that last stream, where I was experimenting with, like, quite a few different things. But I obviously wasn't experimenting in the right direction, because basically everything I tried for that stream ended up not going over so well. And I felt like very little progress was made. And just when I have a stream like that at all, regardless of the game, it just kind of sours me on the experience. Whether or not, you know, any of the other circumstances regarding Loop Hero were present or not, I probably still would have felt bad about that stream just because I didn't really make any real tangible progress in like the 2 or so hours that I played the game. So, yeah, I don't know. It's partially my fault for being bad at the game. Partially also my fault for, I don't know, just feeling weird about Twitch expectations, I guess. It's still my fault, right? I know it's on me, and if I was just like 100%, I'm just gonna do what I want to do, and I don't care about putting on a good show, which I pretend like I am, but like, when it comes down to it, it's like, if I feel like I'm not producing anything entertaining at all, I'm just like, why would I be doing Loop Hero when instead I could just be doing like the Minecraft progressive playthrough, which I don't know. It's like a different atmosphere entirely, but I think that's like significantly more entertaining than watching someone flounder in Loop Hero Chapter 2 for like a few hours, not really doing anything, or changing up their strategy in the right ways so that they actually know what they're doing wrong. A big part of it was definitely Blood Groves, though. I'll tell you that much. Blood Groves really fuck you over. Also caring like way too much about sustain, because like villages completely solve sustain. Like I probably could delete all of the villages here and still be mostly fine. Maybe not at this point, because I'm loop 58, and my items aren't spectacular, and I'm, like, idly playing, so I'm not even paying attention to the items most of the time. But you really don't need that much sustain. And that's partially because I've, you know, upgraded my camp so much to the point where, yeah, like, it heals me, like, 60% when I pass through the campfire tile. How much is it? It's, like, a silly amount now. 60%, yeah. So there is a little bit of grind aspect to it, because it just feels like an entirely different game, those first few runs of Loop Hero that I did. Like, it feels like the strategy is very much, like, risk-reward, like, see how far you can push it before you know you have to run away. And I really liked that. And I'm not sure exactly how I feel about what it kind of devolves into, which is just, like, you're basically unstoppable, which has its own level of fun to it. I don't think it's necessarily wrong to keep it like this. But that being said, I've done... This is my third time doing Chapter 4. Well, not my third time. This is my third time winning Chapter 4. Once I, like, kind of understood how to approach Chapter 4, which did take a while, don't get me wrong. I spent the longest out of my off-camera playtime in Chapter 4, because it's a huge difficulty jump from the previous chapters. But it's a lot of fun, and, like, I was, like, genuinely having... Like, if I had started this stream, like, yesterday, for example, I would probably have some really negative things to say about Chapter 4, because I was comparing it to Dicey Dungeons, and you don't ever want to be compared to Dicey Dungeons when it comes to difficulty balancing. But I realized that I was just doing things, like, I literally wasn't using what are these things? I wasn't using, no, what are they called? I thought the word, I wasn't using suburbs at all. Still, like, I can't get over that. Like, I don't know why so often when I'm streaming, just the most obvious words leave my mind, but it happens frequently. I think it's, I don't know. It's just dumb brain. Let's just leave it up to that. But, yeah, I wasn't using suburbs at all, and suburbs are one of, like, the best tiles in the game. Because, like, levels are so much more important than I had, ever given them credit when I was playing it on stream. And I didn't even really realize how important levels were until I started using the suburbs. Just as, like, a random one-off experiment. I was like, you know, they put this in the game for a reason. Let's see how it works if I use them. And yeah, that's not the right button. The levels are super important, especially as I think the Necromancer is most important. I've only played the Necromancer in Chapter 4, and I've never won as the Necromancer. But I can tell just from, like, the levels I've seen for the Necromancer, or the traits. The Necromancer really, really relies on its traits. So if you're not using suburbs, why do I keep forgetting the word? If you're not using suburbs, which I wasn't when I was playing as the Necromancer in Chapter 4, you're gonna have an awful time, and gonna die repeatedly before finishing the second boss, which is what kept happening to me. And I feel like it's so weird, because, like, I don't know, yeah, the balance is, like, I'm basically unkillable at this point. I did die once in this run, but it was because of dumb fuck reasons, basically. I stomped the first boss. Like, the Lich is basically a joke at this point. I'll show you when I get back at camp, but let me see if I have one on me. No, it got deposited. There is a camp item, and the camp items are really where, like, the power creep gets into this game, because, like, when you see my town, you'll start to get an understanding for it. But, like, I have so many camp item slots that I can't even fill them up. I mean, I've also, what is it, recycled or disassembled, like, a bunch of my craftable or supply items. Okay, like, I feel a little bit bad for not knowing the proper names for everything, but also the game itself is kind of inconsistent on what it calls things, which, to be fair, it definitely is a language barrier, now that I've looked into it a little bit more. So, like, you know, the writing issues, while they are a little bit frustrating at times, like, I don't know, it's listed as magic HP here, but in basically every other instance where the game is talking about magic HP, it calls it, like, energy armor or something, which is just, I don't know. Like, the first time I saw energy armor, I was just like, is this a new mechanic, or is it just magic HP? It turns out it's just magic HP. There's a lot of other inconsistencies like that. There's a lot of inconsistencies with the word adjacent. Like, I think, like, literally right here is an example of it. Yeah, adds vampires to battles on adjacent tiles. Adjacent in this case means orthogonal and diagonal. Whereas for spider cocoon, spawns the spider on an adjacent tile once a day, does not mean diagonals. I know you can't really tell because I have villages on the diagonals, but I thoroughly tested it. Spiders do not spawn on diagonals. It's only orthogonals. And there's plenty of other inconsistencies like that in the writing in the game. Like, oh god, this one bugs me so much because I undervalued this. This is just stupidly strong. Like, I don't even know why this is allowed to be in the game as it is. Because, like, just looking at the comparison between these two traits, it's like, why? Like, why? This is just strictly better in every way than this trait. Why do you have both of them? It's really weird. But, yeah, there are so many things in the game that say plus HP, and I just, for half of them, I have no fucking idea. I don't know if it means that it heals you, or if it's giving you max HP. Because in this case, this says max HP is increased by 1 for each received trophy. You would think that the wording would be consistent, and this would be phrased, max HP is increased by 1 for every kill, but it just says plus 3 HP after a kill. Even though it is increasing your max HP by 3 after every kill. It's just, like, stupidly strong. I thought it was healing, because, like, for one, why would this be allowed to be this strong when this trait exists? It's just a worse version of it. And beyond that, the phrasing is misleading. But it's a language barrier, so I forgive it. Those are the kind of things that are really easy to fix afterwards also. Like, it's just writing. Like, they could patch that out in one patch and it would be completely fine. Though there are some, like, statistical, I don't know, inaccuracy probably isn't the right word. Just inconsistencies. Like, I still don't understand how fucking mountains and rocks work. Like, every single time I place a mountain and a rock and guess, like, what is the HP return going to be upon placing this? I'm wrong, like, every single time. Not that I use mountains and rocks anymore, but, like, even these fucking rivers, like, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, you place a thicket down, right? And then you place a river beside it. When you place that river, it gives you 2 additional attack speed. So you're like, okay, the river is doing exactly what it says it does. It's doubling the adjacent tile. Again, the diagonals don't do anything. But then when you get to the second side of the same tile that's being doubled here, you're like, okay, is it going to give me 4 because it's doubling the tile again? And it does. Placing the second river gives you 4 additional attack speed. But when you place the third one, it just gives you 4 again instead of 8. It makes no sense. Like, I just don't understand how the math works at all. Like, it's so weird and inconsistent. And maybe I'm mistaken and I just tested it wrong. Maybe it gives you 4 every single time, and it's just like the river itself gets a doubled effect to what it's adjacent to. And I'm, you know, in this testing scenario, we're pretending like none of these other thickets are here, because obviously in this literal instance as it's set up right here, there are 2 thickets there. But no, like, I paid very close attention to it while I was placing the thickets in the river for the first time. And those are the numbers I came up with. I'm pretty sure for whatever reason it gives you 2 the first time you do it, and then 4 every other time you circle around it. I don't know why. I don't even know if, like, my setup with the rivers here is efficient at all. Because, again, like, I don't really understand how the math works, so this pattern, this, like, space-filling loop-de-loop pattern is probably real garbage, but it's what I came up with, and it's easy enough to repeat. It does require 5 empty space tiles to either the left or the right of your loop. So, I mean, yeah, it's a little cheesy, but I just, like, start a loop, and if there aren't 5 empty tiles to the left or right, I just run away and reset it until I get 5 empty tiles. Because, like, you can do a different pattern, or because you have the bridge unlocked, presumably, you can still make the pattern work when there's only 4 tiles of empty space, using the rivers turned into reeds as the 5th. But then you don't get the actual bonus of it being a river, so it's you know, it's whatever. You can do what you want, but I just reset until I have 5 empty tiles like that, because I'm a lame cheater, basically. I'm a lamer. Yeah, I don't know. Loop Hero is good. There are minor gripes here and there. I think the balance is weird, but all in all, it's good. I guess I could just kind of, like, pivot into the strategy that I've got going here for anyone who looks at this and wants to repeat this strategy. Not saying that this is the best strategy, but ever since I started using it, I've never lost. So, unlosable strategy in Loop Hero. Take notes. Basically what you do is you you have at least 66% chance to reflect magic attacks because you bought, well, not bought, but like crafted a bunch of those at camp. Because those are actually really easy to craft. If you have like one decently successful run and you get a bunch of the, where are they? I mean, if you get a decent amount of anything, because presumably you also have alchemy unlocked, like, once you get alchemy unlocked, the game just kind of opens up and unfolds, and you can turn literally any resource into any other resource. So, yeah, even though, like, I don't even have, like, a part of it. Even though the what is it? The orbs of change, or whatever they're called, the ones that happen when you change a tile on the board, even though those aren't very easily farmable, because, like, if I wanted to farm it, I would have to, like, well, with my current deck setup, well, I guess I could do it with rivers, but I would have to unwind the river, like, all the way back, and that would be tedious as hell. Does it work with towns? I guess the most easily farmable way I could get that resource is by breaking a suburb. Yeah, there you go. I get the little, noticeable change. And then placing a suburb back to make it, yeah, there you go, you get more. It's a super annoying resource to farm. But when you get alchemy unlocked, like, all of these resources, especially, like, the books, because the book is a completely useless resource. But, you know, if you want to not spam click a million times to decompose all the books, because it is kind of fucking tedious, and I, honestly, my index finger hates me a little bit for what I did earlier today and yesterday. Yeah, go for these orbs, like the orbs you get on a rare chance after killing an enemy. Or you could just, like, I guess, like, maybe the most efficient, like, speed way would be to keep resetting. Although I don't even think that would be more efficient than this for speed. Because, like, so, I'll go over my traits in a bit, but some of the traits I have that I did have to unlock, they're not traits that you have by default. Some of the traits you get just make idle farming for resources so ridiculously easy. But if you don't have that option, and for whatever reason you are in a position where you can very quickly grind out all of the Chapter 4 bosses, you do get, like, 11 skulls or something every time you run Chapter 4. It's a lot of the skull resources, and if you don't ever plan on dying, which, like, you know, I don't, skulls are also an entirely pointless resource that you can just crunch down into alchemy bits and get whatever you want. But yeah, let's go into the strategy for this run. Magic damage, damage to all are the most important stats. Any damage, like, that's all you care about is damage. Straight up, that's all you care about. Damage to all for, oh, that's like a sizable single target damage upgrade. I'll swap that out. I guess I'll swap that out for, why do I got a Minnesotan accent for a bit there, bud? A little bit Canadian, eh? It happens to me. When I'm trying to talk quickly, which I usually do when I'm streaming for whatever reason, I sometimes slip into weird accents. And no, me saying tour is not a part of a weird accent. That's just how I say tour. I don't think any of this is really worth it. I mean, yeah, that's like 1,000 extra HP, but also I already have like thousands of extra HP just from these two right here, so I don't really care about HP that much. Yeah, I think I'll pass on the rest of the equipment. It takes so long before you get like a reasonable equipment upgrade. Like, I don't know, items are so weird in this game. Like, a lot of the stats are like either very heavily soft capped or hard capped, because I have never seen like crit damage chance go above 20%. I don't even think I've seen 20%. Like, the number has stayed in the high, well, not high 10s, like the low 10s range for about 40 loops. Like, I would say when you get to, like, loop 20, you start to see crit damage chance around, like, the 13% range, and that's where you're going to see it sit there for the rest of your life. Now, maybe if I get up to, like, the 200s or something, I'll start to see a difference, but it seems like a lot of the stats are pretty capped. And damage, too. Like, the main stats on all of these items, like the main damage stat, the main magic HP stat, the main max HP stat, the main evasion stat, although evasion is capped at 75. Those had like a fairly linear increase, although, I don't know, maybe it's not fully linear. There is definitely like a little bit of a logarithmic downward decline in the increase of numbers here, but it definitely accelerates, like, way faster than, or I guess decelerates way slower than some of the other stats. Last time you streamed, you were level 15, now it's, like, level 52 gear. It happens. It happens. What can I say? I'm a gamer god. No, but I just did a lot off-stream. Because I decided that I don't really think that this is that great of a fit for me as a stream game, basically. But I didn't want to just end it and then, like, talk about, oh yeah, I'm not going to do Loop Hero again in a different game. Because, like, I very easily could have just, like, streamed Minecraft today and been like, yeah, I'm probably never going to do Loop Hero on stream again. But then I would just have, like, a Loop Hero playlist that just abruptly stops with no explanation. Like, on the YouTube side of things, nobody is going to know, like, oh yeah, from watching the final Loop Hero episode, you then have to watch arbitrary episode in the Minecraft series to understand why the series ended. So I figured I should probably just play it like one more time and explain why I'm not gonna play Loop Hero again. But you know, that's basically the reasoning. All right, strategy. Let's talk strategy. For early items, I'm talking primarily as Rogue, because, like, Rogue is honestly the only, like, reliably good character. You could probably do some good shit with Warrior, but honestly, Warrior is just, like, such a boring character. Like, Rogue just feels like an objective upgrade to Warrior that I haven't touched Warrior since I started getting good at playing as the Rogue. Yeah, sure. I'm gonna... You know what? You know what? That deserves a full 10-second timeout to really reconsider your actions on that one. I thought about it, and I was like, am I really? Because it's not that big of a deal and was obviously tongue-in-cheek, but... it's outrageous enough of a sentence that I'm like, even if I can tell that that's a joke, you probably shouldn't make that joke. But, how's it going? Strategy, yeah. So, I'm not going to talk about Necromancer, because I think Necromancer could be good. I might play a Necromancer run after I decide to end this one, or the game decides to end it for me. Because all of my Chapter 4 wins have ended in a death. But the deaths were because I just AFK'd and didn't pay attention to my character for too long. So I'm not actually sure if it could have been avoided, or if the game just starts to outscale you at a point. Because I fully believe that eventually the game will outscale you. I have played as the Necromancer, yeah. But, like, looking at the increase in numbers, like, the HP thing is pretty insane. Like, I definitely have gotten way more HP than the game. I mean, maybe not expect. But definitely I've got more HP than the game is typically balanced around, just because of getting these two traits very early on. And also just the traits themselves are kind of stupidly overpowered. Primarily this one. Yeah, anyways. I do believe that the game will eventually outscale you, but it certainly takes a while. That being said, I don't know, what was I saying? I lost my original train of thought. But basically, I think Necromancer could be pretty fucking strong late game. And I think Necromancer probably is the strongest character late game just because of one specific trait I've seen that lets the Necromancer split incoming damage amongst all of its skeletons, which, you know, with enough attack speed, you can summon, like, well, I don't know. I don't know if the increase to max skeletons ever gets above +1, but if it does, you can have, like, a full squad of 8 skeletons and, basically not take any fucking damage ever again. But, that being said, it takes a while to get to that point in Necromancer, and I think if I do a Necromancer run today, I expect it to go significantly better having the suburbs here. But, like, the runs I was doing of the Necromancer without any suburbs, I was just, like, suffering. Like, it feels so fucking hard to get the Necromancer off the ground. But I do firmly believe it depends entirely on, like, the skeleton scaling, because all of the equipment for the Necromancer is, like, increased to skeleton quality and increased to skeleton level. And there's no, like, I can't really compare that to the other characters, because I have no idea how meaningful one skeleton level is compared to, like, an extra 50 damage, for example. Have I seen Cat lately? My cat? Yeah, daily. On the reg. Constantly. But, yeah, I don't know. I would just have to see it to know how it feels, but I haven't ever gotten to late game with a Necromancer. So, we'll see if I decide to do that, though I've already spent, like, 50 minutes rambling. While I'm not even paying attention to the game, which is kind of my forte. So it feels good to get that going. But, okay, talking rogue. We're talking rogue here. What's the strat for rogue? If you want a Prima strategy guide for the rogue, here's what you do. Very early on, you just, like, pump as much evasion as you can, because you're not going to get a lot of evasion on gear, especially if you're using the, what's it called? The thing that gives you an extra equipment slot, which I do recommend giving you the thing that gives you an extra equipment slot, because that's, like, I don't know. That's just, like, a flat extra 100 damage on most gear. Where is it? Arsenal, there you go. You should probably be using Arsenal, when playing as the rogue, for sure. Probably the warrior as well. I'm not sure about Necromancer. Undecided. Because I feel like that early scaling means, like, significantly more to the Necromancer. But if you make it past the early game, you're always going to want an extra piece of equipment. The only other thing I was thinking is plausible for Necromancer is, the thing that gives you max HP on killing an enemy. I think it's on... Yeah, killing an enemy that has a soul. That's right. So it wouldn't really work in this situation where I'm just killing spiders over and over again. I guess the Necromancer, or the vampires do have souls, but it's not a lot of max HP gain. Anyways. What was I saying? Yeah, that seems like a plausible substitute. my HP is fine. Don't even worry about my HP. Don't even think about it. Don't even look at it. Back to the rogue, though. You definitely want Arsenal. You want to pump evasion early, because you're going to need a decent amount of evasion for the second and third boss. It's like the only thing that really matters. The fourth boss is honestly just kind of a joke. It's just like an RNG boss. I think the spiders are one of the best enemies to mindlessly grind on, honestly. Although I think I'm dead here. By the way. That's fine. It was bound to happen eventually when I'm not paying attention to my equipment at all. I think... Well, let me calculate this. No, that's not that hard to calculate. I was gonna say, like, is it worth the 4 skulls to actually keep this stuff, and yeah, it is. It is. Just looking at, like, the Astral Orb, the 179 Orbs of Expansion, I should probably keep this. But dude, I wish I didn't die before explaining my screen. Because all I wanted to do is say, like, you know, start river with a loop-de-loop and a pull, and put, I guess I'll just go back to the fucking... It's probably easier. Like, you saw what my board looked like. If you want to look at how to build a board, there you go. Obviously, it's not that optimal if I died. I did combine battlefields and rivers. It's not really good. It's not really good at all. But it is a thing you can do. I did all of that shit. I was missing 2 enemies, so I just looked at the fucking wiki to find out what they were. I was missing the ghost of a ghost of a ghost. And I was missing the mage watcher. Because I fucking... The watcher is such a useless tile. Let's talk strategy in this sense. Because this is an easier way to understand it. Yeah, exactly. You get it. You get it. Alright. More of these, I guess. This is, like, the only thing that actually helps your character by building more of them. There's no reason to ever build more than 1 lumberjack and more than 1 farm. Like, that's just so silly, when if you're really in need of wood or food, you just go to alchemy, like, decompose a few of these kinds of materials, and, oh look, I got as much wood as I could ever need. Like, the alchemy is just... It's cool, like, I like it. Especially for these, whatever these are called. Because these are such a fucking pain in the ass to farm. It requires so much microing to actually get constant supply of this. That, yeah, you know? 5 farms is optimal. I'm sorry, Inverse Impact, but I just don't believe in your strategy. You know, I'd love to see it work for you, buddy, but... I think that the real road to the future is building as many mud huts as you can possibly manage, and having infinite camped equipment slots, because those are permanent upgrades. That's the only real permanent upgrade you can have once you've upgraded all of the like limited amount buildings. Like, these are so pointless. It's just so, I don't know. That part of the game, it just feels like, what did you expect? Like, when you added the farm and you added, is it supposed to, especially for lumberjack, because, like, you get the lumberjack pretty late into the game. Like, that's one of the highest end unlocks that you get. And by that point, you could easily have just gone for Alchemist Tent instead. And, you know, had a way better time of things, just smelting down your infinite astral orbs. I mean, maybe not everyone has infinite astral orbs, but yeah, okay. I'll get into strategy. You should have infinite astral orbs because you should have an easier time, and get this. You should have an easier time fighting the... Oh, I'm out of wood. Haha. The man who said he has infinite wood has run dry. But yeah, you should have an easier time fight. Oh god, see, this is where I break my index finger again. Because I have 1,700 books, and there is no way to decompose more than 1 at a time. Or at least there's no way I found out how to. So I have to click this button 2 times for every 1 piece of wood that I want. And then I have to click the wood for all of the times that I want the wood. But yeah, basically, you should have an easier time fighting the mage vampires than you do fighting regular vampires, because of this right here. And I know you think that, oh, well, he's maxed out his jewelry slots, so there's no way he can ever get more. But no, I think it's like I mean, I can just find out right now. I think it's the second upgrade to a mud hut. First upgrade is garbage. No one cares. Second upgrade, nope, that's an additional equipment slot. Third upgrade, additional equipment slot, and additional jewelry slot. But I need more fucking wood. But that, the jewelry slot is key. And you don't even need to fill out, like, this is such overkill. Like, I'm just doing it as a flex. But, you basically only need as many jewelry slots as it takes to, I can never find the right button. You need as many jewelry slots as it takes to get this number to 100% chance. Because when you have chance to redirect lightning or a magical attack to a random enemy, that means you literally can't get hit by the magic vampires. And a lot of other enemies in the game. Why not just upgrade what I already have to 50? What do you even mean to 50? What? To 50? What? You know, maybe I should put you on the slight ignore list, Inverse Impact, because your advice seems to be mildly confusing at best. All right, let's go back to spam clicking books. But yeah. So if you fill up your entire board with 100% chance to fight magic vampires, then you're going to get a shit ton of astral orbs. It just happens, and that's like one of the best things to decompose. Like, it is like, yeah. You also get the unity orbs from the bats that spawn from the vampires as well. Oops. I mean, I don't really care about decomposing a few of those, but books take priority, even though it hurts my finger. Yeah, no, I get that much. I get the upgrade what I have part, but did you not hear the it's a flex part? Like, I feel like the flex is more important than common sense. But I probably will just upgrade a few of them until I can get 100%, because 100% is where I really start to pop off. Like, the Lich uses entirely magic attacks, so when you get 100% chance to redirect magic attacks, you literally can't take damage to the first boss. Not only that, but redirecting actually sends it back to him. So if you had 0 attack, you could still kill the Lich by making him kill himself. Pretty epic, am I right, gamers? Yeah, I don't know. That's the strategy. It's like, honestly, the biggest part of the strategy is just get the magic redirect. That's, once I started doing that, my success rate went way up. Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough on the spam clicking. Like, there's, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just weird, right? Like, it's just weird. So many gaps in, like, obvious features. Like, you would think by watching me play the game, what I believe to be, like, the normal way to play the game right now. Like, I don't think it's that out of the ordinary that people are going to get thousands of these fucking books. Well, I guess what's more likely is that people would just stop playing by this point, right? But, I don't know, I'm a weird little freak, and I wanted to explain to my stream why I am gonna stop playing after this one last stream. But, yeah, I feel like this is a fairly normal spot to find yourself in the game, where you have thousands of these extra resources. So wouldn't it be, like, the most obvious addition to be you can hold down the button, and then it'll start, like, automatically crunching them at a rapid pace? But no. It just feels like they didn't think this would happen. Like, they just never expected people to have these many resources, which seems silly. Because it wasn't even that hard to crack the meta. Like, once I figured it out... I mean, I still obviously don't have it completely figured out, because I'm still kind of struggling to find, like, a good enemy to fit in the spawn vampire section. Sorry. It's like maybe the least coherent sentence I've said all stream. It's hard to find, like, because you can't spawn magic vampires on their own. If you could spawn magic vampires on their own, I'd be set in stone and I would literally never die because I could just redirect all the damage. But you need at least one other enemy that actually spawns on the board for it to have the vampire in the battle. The flesh golems are an obvious no. You would think maybe the rat wolves are okay, but they're really, really bad. Like, you could probably kill rat wolves easier than the spiders, because, like, the spiders do frequently, like, stun you, and I don't know, especially when you have, like, a lot of attack speed, you're very often exerted, so you have no attack speed in general, and the fights can take forever. But there is one really frustrating thing about the rat wolves, in that, I mean, maybe slime is just the answer, believe it or not. But the rat wolves have thick hide, which means even if you have enough damage to one-hit kill them, and they ignore damage to all, by the way, even if you have enough damage to one-hit kill them, you are bare minimum going to have to hit them 4 times. And beyond that, you're going to have to hit every single one of them 4 times, because ignore damage to all. Swamp spawns mosquitoes. You think mosquitoes kill vampires anyway? I think swamp kills you as a player. At least if you're playing rogue. Because rogue has the, by default, 5% vampirism, which might not seem like a lot, but when you're doing, like, thousands of damage, that extra bit of vampirism, if you have swamp tiles as every single combat tile, you're going to die very quickly. And I did experiment with swamp tiles as my main combat tile for a little bit, but it just doesn't work out. Like, you end up outscaling yourself because you are the enemy in that case. I tried skeletons for a really long time, but they're just so fucking tanky, and you can't... I guess I could have done it in the way that I had it set up there, because I was alternating villages and combat tiles, specifically because I was using, I was trying out these guys, the ruin tiles, because ruin tiles also give you resources. I thought that would be good. But these guys are archers, so you can't put the tiles right next to each other or the combat is going to be too difficult to sustain for a reasonable amount of time. I mean, spiders are fine. Spiders are what I've had the most success with, but as you saw there, it still does eventually get you. I think maybe Blood Clot are pretty cool. Like, I've been thinking about Blood Clot. It's a little bit more tedious to get to work, because you're already juggling 2 roadside tiles. If you want 100% of your road to be magic vampires, you're already juggling the roadside vampire mansions and the roadside abandoned bookeries. So if you're throwing on an additional roadside battlefield, plus, like, well, I guess slimes don't spawn, do they, once it becomes the blood road? But still, that's I don't know, that might get crowded, because it takes at least 2 battlefields to actually get the swamp ass blood path. But I think that this probably is one of the better enemies. And like chests and mimics would be the worst part about having that many. Wait, fragile? Every attack against a mimic is a critical hit. I didn't know that. That actually makes mimics very likely to just get one shot in the late game. Maybe mimics aren't that bad. I was always worried about the ambush because they always do a shit ton of damage with their first hit. I thought that would get overwhelming if you had mimics on every tile, but maybe not if you just one-shot them. Still, it seems like a lot of roadside tiles. And like, the ghosts aren't that big of a deal. Like, the scariest part would be if you got a ghost to go all the way to Prime Matter, because it does have an ability that is guaranteed to kill you if you can't kill it fast enough, but maybe that would be enough to ruin a run, but I think you're probably likely to just kill it fast enough so it doesn't matter. I mean, maybe if you're exerted, I don't know. It would take a bit, because these guys don't even spawn. Like, it's a rare spawn to see these guys in the first place. Yeah. Goblins are an obvious no. That they would just, like, be way more difficult fights than the spiders. So, not even worth considering. Plus, you don't have any control over where they're placed. Like, you could, like, the super late game, you could enforce them, but you would also need mountain tiles in your deck, and I don't want that amount of bloat for the early game, because it actually kind of matters that you get the run going pretty quickly. I was outpaced once, even when I had my Prima strategy guide rolling. I just got outpaced because I didn't get enough cards that allowed me to get more cards. Like, it took me forever to get spiders. So I couldn't spawn the vampire mages, and I couldn't get anything off the ground until, like, loop 6 or so, which was a fairly late start and made, I think I died to the 3rd boss. I probably could have just waited a little bit longer and smashed it anyways. You don't have to attack all prime matter. You could probably... Yeah, no. I definitely wouldn't do battlefields and goblins at the same time. I'm just looking at the enemies to see if there's one in particular. Ghouls, like, if there was a way of regularly spawning ghouls, that would be the way to go. But it would require micromanaging, because you'd have to delete and replace vampire mansions every time you wanted to fight. Harpy requires mountains, no thanks. Bandit can destroy your run. Gargoyles. It's just a weird one. It might work, but it requires, like, wasting a lot of the tile space where you're usually buffing your character. I don't think it's worth it. Flesh Golem, absolutely destroy you. Ooh, Living Armor. Living Armor. I did say it was one of the easiest things to fight. But they don't spawn that frequently, because it does have to eat 6 pieces of equipment before it spawns one, and it only eats 2 pieces of equipment at a time. It's also a roadside thing. I don't think, well, I guess spiders are a roadside thing, so I don't even know why I'm acting like that's a huge issue. I tried scarecrows for the longest time, but they actually just shred you. They do a silly amount of damage when the loop scales, like, super late game. Fishermen, no experience with, but it would require fucking up your river, so no thanks. Same with Siren. Wooden Warriors destroy you. What? Somehow I haven't unlocked the dialogue with the Wooden Warrior? Whatever. In Dark Slime, I honestly don't even know how I found this guy. I just fought him once, and I don't know why he showed up. But, yeah. I think the best answer really is spiders. Or possibly blood clots. Maybe I'll just try it. Maybe I'll just try it and see how it goes. It's worth a shot. I'll do one run as the necromancer here. And I'll include blood clots as the main enemy. Definitely not Grove. And definitely not more than one. Like, there's no reason to have more than one enemy going. I think, because I googled it, because like I said, I looked at the wiki to find out what the final 2 remaining enemies were, and I checked out Dark Slime on the wiki page as well, because I was curious. The limited amount of knowledge on it seems to be that the leading assumption is... I had so many leading sentences there. But the leading assumption is that a Dark Slime has, like, a rare chance to spawn when you Oblivion, like, a pack of monsters. And I think specifically you have to Oblivion them on a wasteland tile. Like, it has to be a pre-existing wasteland tile. And you Oblivion it. I don't know. Maybe it's when you Oblivion, like, a pack of slimes on a wasteland tile. I don't know. It's something weird, but I think the theory is that it has to do with Oblivion. Anyways, let's craft some wood here, because that's what I spam clicked for. Let's get my... I mean, presumably we could get my magic reflection up to 100% here. I've definitely got enough materials to do it. It just takes a little bit of luck with the crafts. But thankfully, I don't need to synthesize these. Got plenty of orbs of expansion. That's not a problem. It's just the orbs of change, or whatever they're called. Alright, I think that's enough wood. Let's see. I just need to upgrade... How many more houses? I don't know, like a few. I need to upgrade this one more time, yeah. Oh, it's max level. Damn. I didn't think I had to upgrade it to max. You know what, we'll have those two rich houses there, and then... As the world often does, we will separate the upper class into their own prestigious island. Because what is a post-apocalyptic society without capitalism? What am I missing? I didn't even see. What's the resource I need? Stone. No. No, dude. Stone has been, like, the #1 resource I never have. Absolutely never have stone. I used to get a lot of it from the cemeteries, but... Ever since I stopped running skeletons, it's been rough on the stone. Wood, too. I don't even know what I'm getting wood from, because I don't have groves. I know that's, like, the primary resource for where you get wood is by walking through the groves, but I think I just got it from that's the other thing I missed out on. I wanted to show off the traits that I had, because those are pretty important for how I got so many resources there. But basically, there's one trait that gives you a 30% chance to get a random chunk of a resource just by killing an enemy. So just by killing enemies, you'll randomly get like sticks, stone, metal, and rations. But only the chunk bits. There is an additional trait that you can get that has a 2% chance when you get a chunk of a resource, you get a full resource instead. Which is especially good for these like higher end resources. Like a few times I saw that I got an entire Orb of Unity just from killing like a single bat. Why don't they have stone like in the main base? You mean as an option to like mine stone? Like a quarry tile similar to the wood in the ration one? I did think that was kind of weird. That it has specifically wood and rations as an option, but nothing for metal or stone. Alright, keep upgrading. Keep upgrading. Dude, I've shouted a little bit too much. That's what happens when I take a few days break from streaming. I come back to the stream like overly excited and absolutely destroy my vocal cords. Maybe they thought that would be unbalanced. I don't think any of the resources are really balanced if you look at my inventory here. And just look at alchemy in general. It's just kind of like, once you have that, you are literally unstoppable. Nothing can get in your way. Well, carpal tunnel. That's the one thing stopping you from getting unlimited resources. But we can push through that. That's no biggie. Can I just get like an upgrade all button? Upgrade to max, please? God damn it. Need 2 stone, 16 metal. And I think that's probably enough for me to get to where I need to be. Although I need to craft a bunch of these as well. But these are going to take my resources far more quickly. There you go. Alright. Let's see. Craft. Dismantle, like, all of this garbage. I mean, some of it's probably useful, but... oh, fuck it. Let's equip the useful things, I guess. Alright, what's useful here? Plus 0.2 HP regeneration per second? Oh. Ew. Gross. The knife is actually really good. The knife is one of the best, items. Each of them gives you plus 1% base HP for every food item. And as you can see, I have a decent amount of food items. So stacking these is pretty nice. Might as well put all of my magnifying glasses in. Those are like the only good ones, right? The other, yeah, 15... like the balance between these items too is so bad. So bad. So bad. Stew? Am I using stew? See, again, I just don't know. Does this mean max HP? Or does this mean I'm healing 5 extra when I pass through a village? Because if it's max HP, then that's, like, incredibly good. But this says plus 10 max HP. Why doesn't this just say max HP? I don't know. I assume it just means I heal 5 extra. Even though that sounds terrible. Like, yeah, a lot of these are terrible. 10% chance to receive 1 ration after killing a rat wolf, and plus 5 damage against rat wolves. Like, there's a lot of really bad ones. Like, I guess if you were going for the rat wolf as your main enemy, maybe this would be useful, but not if you're in Chapter 4, because, like I said, even if you can one-hit kill rat wolves, you're gonna have to hit them 4 times anyways. I did take this, the cheese, specifically because it's the exact same wording, more or less, of the rogue's ability. Though I don't think it actually does. I think this is just healing. But whatever, having the extra food items makes the kitchen knives better, so I don't care if there's a little bit of garbage filler in there. I'm nowhere close to maxing out my, my maximum equipment load here, so that's not a huge concern. And I don't really care about anything other than the mirrors, so I'll just trash them. Like, they're not bad. This one just doesn't even make sense. Like, you get 5% extra damage when you're affected by a road lantern or a beacon. And that's it. You can't have more than one of them. Why do I know that? Because you would think, or at least I don't know. I originally thought when it said effects don't stack on the item, I thought that just meant effects of having multiple beacons overlapping are not going to give you multiple damage increases. But no. Because I also thought that... well, I don't know. I honestly don't know what I was thinking for this one when it says effects don't stack. I was just hoping. Because, like, this seems good at first. You're like, 1 defense for every card I have? Sure. If I can have more than one of these items. But... no, that's just 13 extra defense. Like, I guess it's not horrible, but I don't know, only being able to have one of them, it's so bad. Plus 2 hero damage against all undead. Okay. I mean, this one admittedly is not that bad, but you really shouldn't be having difficulty killing the bosses anyways. Like, maybe early game, like when you're first unlocking the supply thing, it could be useful, but when you're at this stage in the game, it's kind of meaningless. Any furniture items that are worth it? I don't really care about vampirism. Sure, I'll take an extra potion, I guess. It doesn't hurt. What did I have at the end? I think I had these at the end. Again, I don't know if that's healing me or if that's max HP. I hope it's max HP. And yeah, everything else is garbage. Let's throw it away. To the garbage heap with you. And from here, we just spam craft until we see mirrors. Mirrors. Oh, come on, dude. There's not that... come on. Yeah! There aren't that many options. How am I getting so unlucky on the mirrors? No. No, dude. Like, literally every other time I've done this, I've gotten mirrors so easily. And now when I'm actually doing it, like, in bulk, and actually care about the outcome, I don't get it. Am I the only one who thinks this is absolutely fucked? Well, whatever. We got 1. Gaming. What's that? That brings us to 78, because we had that other one as well. Alright. Let's craft a... Let's alchemy a few... Oh, god damn it. A few more of those orbs. Oh, I guess I did get a few more just from decomposing anyways, but whatever. Let's just do it this way for a bit, because I'm probably not going to nail all 3 of those crafts, given my past performance. It's just, you know, it's the live stream jitters. As soon as I turn on the camera, the game is too shy. It doesn't want to give me the pog rares. I apologize for my sins. But I'm glad to see the number goes above 75%, because that's one thing I was concerned of. It was like, if they care enough to max out evasion at 75, they might care enough to max out the magic reflect. But nope. Nope, it looks like you can just get 100% magic reflect, which is kind of silly. I've never actually seen what happens when you use a, what's it called? A Tempest Storm? Storm Temple? I've never seen what happens when it actually strikes as lightning. The only thing I've used these for is putting them in the corners and making, the burned forest to get magic damage. I did that a little bit, just to see if it was worth anything, and I kind of ended up thinking it was complete ass garbage. Wouldn't recommend the burned forest. Maybe would recommend the Storm Temple. I'm just so curious about it, because if I have 100% chance to reflect the lightning, that means that even if it strikes me, it's striking the enemies. This could be like a huge damage upgrade. You have to try it, right? But outside of this... Oh, but that ruins my forests. Fuck. Maybe this is the Huh? That's weird. Maybe this is the opportunity where I pick desert instead of forest. Because I typically don't think desert is that great, but I don't really have an option. Because all of my forests would be turned into burned forests if I'm spamming every single tile with storm temples, which sounds like a lot of fun. And sounds like it could very easily break the game and make it so I never lose again. Depending on how the damage scaling, or if there is any damage scaling on the lightning. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Oasis tiles are cool, also, so that's fine. Oh wait, but no, do Oasis tiles still give you the double effectiveness that rivers normally do? What's an Oasis tile? It's been so long since I've seen it. Oasis. No, they don't give you the double the effective adjacent. Okay. It's still good, but maybe I don't want the double effect of the sand dunes. I don't know. I don't really care. One way or another. What was I doing? I was spamming the... You know what? I've probably spammed enough. Alchemy, alchemy, alchemy. Let's craft as many of these as I can, and please give me the mirrors. Don't make me break my index finger any more than it already is. Like, my hand actually felt sore earlier today. Because I spam clicked for way too long. Craft. Craft. Here we go. Oh, there you go. You just need to spam click it and the game won't get shy. Just kidding. I only got one there? Are you fucking kidding me? No, I got two. I got two. Okay. Cool, 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 cool. 2 is fine. Does that bring me up to? I'm not going to do the math in my head. Are you kidding me? 90? Alright. Wait, is that being capped? No, okay, that's... like I said, not doing the math. I was afraid for a little bit that they actually did cap it at 90 for some reason. Let's, Let's go back to spam clicking. You know what? Just, like, decompose some astral orbs. I'm gonna get a shit ton of them back anyways. Decompose a few of these. And that's probably enough. Way easier on the fingers, that's for sure. 21, let's see where that takes us. And I can decompose all this garbage too. There you go. Give me the money! We got one. Just need one more. Come on. Yeah, there you go. Okay. He has done it. We should be at 102% resistance. Love to see it. Yeah! Alright. So, I guess I should go over my real strategy before going over my meme strategy. Because obviously, if you get to this point, you just broke the game and nothing is ever going to kill you. My real strategy is not ruins. I don't even know. Like, out of all of these, Cemetery is probably the easiest in the early game. Because it spawns very rarely and the monsters aren't that hard. Don't put cemeteries back to back. You should probably alternate and then put villages in between once you get enough villages. I learned, by the way, that you can actually completely block bandits from spawning. The bandit tile says it like, what does it say? It says it prefers villages, which again is another like writing error. I mean, not error. It's something that I have an issue with the writing. I think it should be more specific, because there are certain other things that literally just say like cannot be placed. Like the wheat tiles say can only be placed next to a village. But for whatever reason, bandits say bandits prefer villages, which when I read that, I thought that would mean it tries to spawn it next to a village, but if it can't, it'll spawn it on any roadside tile. Not the case. If all of your villages have both of their roadside tiles blocked, just won't spawn bandit camps. So, like, super useful knowledge, makes you save, like, infinitely more Oblivion cards, which, if you're using the forest cards or thicket cards, you're going to need to use a lot of Oblivions getting rid of the dummy villages. Because those are actually, like, super lethal. Alright, but, yeah. Village. Always take village. As soon as you get village, always take village. Now that I know you can block bandit camps whenever possible. Cemetery is probably the easiest. I'm talking about in terms of Chapter 4. Cemetery, you could probably swing Grove, but Cemetery, I think, is the easiest Chapter 4 road tile to fight enemies on. Don't do wheat fields. Wheat fields are decent early game. Like, if you don't care about pushing it to infinity and beyond, go ahead. Take wheat fields, because you're not going to have any problem with it until, like, loop 30 or 40 is when you start getting close to, like, 2-shot range of the scarecrows. Because they do stupid amounts of damage, even if you do have 12,000 HP. Spider cocoons, I think this is like the main enemy. So eventually, you're probably going to phase out your cemeteries and either just full-on leaving wasteland tiles. You can't fill everything with a village, so I guess you would just leave wasteland tiles and let the spiders do the talking. Because enemies aren't allowed to be on village tiles unless they're bandits. Vampire Mansion and Bookery, always take. Because even if you don't have the damage, the magic damage reflectability, it's still just like one of the best enemies to kill in terms of cards, because killing the tomes give you like a shit ton of cards that let you play better tiles more frequently, and also give you good loot as well. Never take Battlefield, probably. Maybe? Still undecided. Maybe I'll experiment with it. Battlefield's a maybe. I'm gonna do that experiment right now. Never take Bloodgrove, though. It's just bad. Unless you're playing Chapter 1, it's just bad. Road Lantern, similar thing. You want to be fighting as many enemies as possible, so Why? Why would you ever use Road Lantern? Smith's Forge, actually really good. Not bad. Only reason I don't take it that often is because I don't really feel like I need it. And it just bloats the deck so that I'm drawing less of the things that I want when I draw. But late game, I also just have like a lot of roadside tiles that I use, unfortunately. I mean, maybe since I'm not allowed to use outposts, since the Necromancer gets shot at when you use outposts, maybe I will take like a Smith's Forge as an alternative. The only reason I use outposts, though, by the way, because you didn't see any outposts on that last run I did, I literally only put outposts on the boss tile. Like, I put the 2 roadside tiles that connect to the campfire where bosses spawn, I put outposts. Because having the extra help on boss fights just to, like, pull aggro and potentially save you from a few hits means quite a bit on a lot of the bosses. Like, boss 3 especially does so much fucking damage that you're probably going to want at least a few chances to not take hits outside of your evasion. But then just delete them with Oblivions and fill it with other better tiles. Rocks, garbage. I mean, with the increase, because you see that rocks give you percentage of base HP. With the supply items I have that increase your base HP, like, maybe rocks are okay, but they spawn goblins, they spawn harpies, it's just not great. You don't want either of those enemies. And the rocks just aren't that powerful, honestly. Forest tiles are the only road tile that you should care about in terms of upgrading your character. Because desert, honestly, is just like a weird one. Like, I see the purpose to it. Like, you one-shotting enemies is a lot better when your health infinitely scales. And, well, I guess enemies' health infinitely scales too, but at a much slower pace. So I see the purpose. And I'm going to use it on the Necromancer. It makes sense as the Necromancer if you're not using Ancestral Crypt, for sure. Even if you are using Ancestral Crypt, it makes sense. Never take Meadow. Meadow is an absolute joke. And Suburbs. Always take Suburbs. I always divide half of my map to Forest and River and half of my map to Suburbs. It's been working for me, and I bet you it'll work for you. Oblivion is the best card in the game. You kind of need it. Although, maybe I don't need it for this build. Because the only thing I regularly Oblivion is the bandit camp. Well, I still, I could block the bandit. Yeah, it's too much. Just take Oblivion. You're gonna need Oblivion. You're probably gonna make mistakes when building anyways and need to fix things later, so just take Oblivion. Take Beacon as all characters. I know that previously I've considered not doing it for, like, Warrior, for example. Just take Beacon. You want the extra attack speed because it means more for you than it does for the enemies. Like, especially if you can kill the enemies in a few hits, getting those hits out before the enemy gets a chance to attack a single time is what you want to see. Storm Temple, only take it if you're going to do a meme build, like I am. Only take it if... I mean, the burned forests are just bad. Like, you get half a point of magic damage, which is not a lot, even if you're doubling it with the river. Like, 1 point of magic damage for every single burned forest if you're, like, somehow getting perfect river placement that it touches everything. It just isn't worth it compared to attack speed, which scales with the damage on your equipment. The burned forest flat magic damage just doesn't scale at all. It's just flat damage. You can't do anything with it. You could scale your own attack speed on equipment, but it, like, even if you filled every single tile on the board with 1 magic damage, like, that maybe like 50 to 60 magic damage. I don't know how many tiles are on the board. Let's say it's like 50 to 60, which is an optimal number. Or sorry, yeah, what's the word? It's give me a sec. It's optimistic. It's an optimistic number that it would be that high. But if you did get it to 50 or 60, that's literally the amount of magic damage I was getting on like one piece of equipment in the late game. So yeah, sure, it's like one extra piece of equipment worth of magic damage, but it's not that worth it compared to the attack speed. What else? What else? What else? Temporal beacons, straight up don't understand them. Seem like a complete waste. Just don't understand them. Same with chrono crystals, by the way. I completely skipped over chrono crystals because of how god-awful they are. Just garbage. Just don't do it. I don't get it. And treasury, it's just like a waste of space. That's it. Alright. I think I summed up the strategy, more or less. That's what's been working for me. Swap that out with that, and there you go. That's what I've been rolling regularly. There you go. But now I'm gonna do meme. I'm gonna do meme build and see how it works. Hopefully it's good. Is there anything I can take out here? No, I think I need all